What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Phase 6, your source for music, business, motivation, and support. It's your guy, Sirr Love, and we are back with another dope episode. I'm super excited to keep the vibes going. As you know, on this show, we reach out to random individuals that support the channel. And how do we know they support the channel? Because they send text messages out to 404-442-4792. And by doing so, we get an understanding of who you are and what your interests are and what your question is. And of course, on that platform, we do all sorts of things. You know, you may get an opportunity to go to a concert. You may get an opportunity to get involved in a publishing deal or TV placement. All sorts of things could happen by you just being involved with the platform. But outside of that, the goal of this show, Chasing Greatness, is to call random individuals and answer their questions, right? So let's just jump into it for the day and just get the vibes going. To let you guys know how I always do, I got the flavors. You know me. I got the flavors. You know, I got the sip vibes going. Whenever we start doing video, I'm gonna start opening the door to get some sponsors in here or something like that. But we got the vibes going. Let me get drop the top. Here we go. Got the vibes going and little flavors to keep the energy, to keep it honest, to keep it cool, to keep it lax. It's the end of the day. I like to relax, enjoy my evening by talking to the audience. I love this. I really love chatting with you guys, man. This is fun. I get to do this like once or twice a week. Really normally once a week, if that, unfortunately. But whenever it happens, it's a dope experience and I love it. So let's see if we can make magic happen tonight. Let's see if the audience is going to pick up the phones because this is real. This is real. We're going to reach out to Kenny. Kenny said that he was in the studio the last time that we sent him a message. And he really wanted to be on the show. Or I'm not sure if he really wanted to, but he wanted to be on the show. We couldn't catch him. Let's see if we catch him this time. He had a question for us. Let's see how Kenny's feeling. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello, may I speak to Kenny?
Yes, Kenny. How you doing?
What's going on, Kenny? This is Sirr Love from Phase 6, bro.
What's up, Sirr Love? How you feeling, bro?
Man, I am good, my guy. I want to open it up by just saying I appreciate you for being you and vibing when I sent you the message about being on this podcast.
Man, I'm glad that you still doing your thing, man. Look at you.
Hey, man.
You about to blow up.
Man, we out here working, man. We out here working. I know you have you got a chance to see the YouTube channel and whatnot? No.
Did you send it to me already?
Man, I don't even think we got that because I remember you and I we met at where?
At your mom-in-law wedding.
Oh man, that is it. That is where we met. Yeah. We met at the wedding. We did. I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, where do we meet at? Yeah, it was at the wedding, man. How's everything going with your artist? The artist was your son, right?
No, I was working with man, I've been working with so many people, but I got different people. Probably not the same people I was working with back then.
Got it. Well, shoot, man. Yeah. I got you live on the channel, and shoot, you're the first.
Right now?
Yeah, right now, man. Not live. I'm sorry, we're not live. We're pre-recorded. So if you say anything crazy, we can edit it if it needs to be edited. But
okay.
But yeah, man. So like the whole purpose of the channel was this right here. So I'm reaching out to all the cast that support Phase 6. We have an online platform where we teach people the music business and help educate them and whatnot. And I know that on my when I sent the message out for the show, I sent it out to everyone. I sent it out to all my music business relationships, and I sent it out to all of my not all of them, but a lot. And I sent it out to all of the artists that support the channel. And I know you had replied back with a message, and I was like, man, let me hit Kenny up because you definitely haven't chatted pretty much at all since that moment. So I'm like, hey, man, what's going on with your client right now? And since I do consulting all the time for people, this moment is where I'm just doing free consulting for 10, 15 minutes with whoever picks up the phone in hopes that it provides value to all the listeners that are listening to the channel.
Okay. Well, you know what? I actually think I am working with one of the same guys.
Okay.
With my nephew. We working on his project.
Got it.
So he just got a new. He just released a new one. And we got it on all the that Piff. The little apps that you can put your music on, music streaming apps. But my question to you would be, what's a good way for him to break into the industry?
That's a great question. Just kind of starting. Well, so it's different for everybody, right? So he's a rapper, as I recall, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a rapper, and when you're trying to break into the game, there are a couple ways to do it from a very high level, right? So it starts with one, picking when you want to break, because there's all these creative, natural talent development things that have to happen before this conversation can even be had. But assuming everything is already dope and lined and in place, there's a high level area, there's high level pathways you can choose. How do you break in a game? When you say in the game, for clarity before I say this, when you say in the game, you mean signed to a major label, or do you mean, just famous and out there? And like, who give me an example of someone that you would say is in the game that you would want him to have the same pathway as. Not pathway, but same success as.
J. Cole, Lil Baby,
Got it. I already got it. You at that status.
Even a guy from Chicago,
Bibby?
He's not even on a label.
Bibby.
Chance the Rapper.
Oh, Chance. Chance is dope. All right, let's talk about it. All right. So first thing you have to decide in the game is from a pathway perspective is what path do you want to go? So here are the pathways to get you to that space. Pathway A, you know somebody. You have a relationship with a entity or a group that has higher relationships that can walk you into the type of doors that will allow you to shop a deal, work your way through the record label from a political perspective, right? You do a showcase, you get signed, or you do a showcase, you shop from label to label, you get invited to showcases, you get signed, maybe get signed on the spot, you present your record, you present your package, whatever. Traditional way of doing it. That doesn't happen as much for rappers anymore. That still happens for R&B artists, and rock artists and whatever. But hip hop has become a hustler's game where the more you hustle, the more opportunities you get. So that happens less frequently, but that's one path. All right. Okay. That path is all about who you know and who they know. Right? It's all about networking. That path is for those that have a really good mouthpiece, that have really good discernment of character, and know how to navigate real life situations really well. It's definitely not for your introverted individual, right? It's all about communication and networking and leveraging who you know. All right. The next way to do it. The next way to do it is to generate your own audience, right? And then make demand that the market responds, right? So that means that you go out there and you release music, you release videos, you release content of all sorts into the marketplace. The fans respond to it. Obviously, you're culturally on, 10 toes down in your community, whatever that is. If you're a gangster rapper, you in the streets. If you're a rapper that's an anime rapper, a lo-fi type rapper, you're in the places where those people are. Like I know places here in Georgia where you can play Dungeons and Dragons in an arcade, right? You got to be the man in those places where people that are into your style of music congregate, right? So it's not about being in the streets. It's about being where your audience is. If you're a gay artist, you need to be in the gay clubs. If you are you make booty shaking music, you need to be in the strip clubs. You know what I'm saying? If you make reggae, right? Yeah. All right, I'm being repetitive, right? But you got to be in your marketplace. You got to be in your marketplace, and you have to be online and proliferating your music online. That's about driving the marketplace to you, and that has become a more common process, all right? Now, you're doing that by yourself. The next route is to have someone else do that process for you, which means you sign to a indie label or you sign to a production company or some organization that is going to do all of that pre-work. Normally, this organization is the organization that has all the finances to fund all of those activities. So the goal isn't to sign to a major. The goal is to get whoever the local dude is with all the cash to get behind your project. Normally that comes in hip hop, that normally comes from some street outlet. Someone in the streets is normally the person, right? That's just how it goes, right? It's not always the case, mind you. There have been many examples where that is not the case, but that is often the case in hip hop in particular, right? You find someone else to front those particular expenses. The next way to do it is to be really aggressive with your publishing, right? So it could be you, you're writing songs for the artists as a ghostwriter. You are doing records for TV. You're doing records for movies. You're really building your publishing catalog. By building your publishing catalog, it can make you more appealing to work from a label perspective as well. Or maybe you can demand a record deal because your publishing is doing so well. Publishing as a whole can give you a lot of leverage that can make an organization want to work with you more, right? You'll probably sign a pub deal with somebody along the way, or you don't have to. Regardless of which, if your publishing is popping, you can generate a record deal for yourself based off of your publishing success, right? So that's like the backdoor way in there as the writer behind the scenes, right? That's where you get your 7 Streeters from. That's where you get the Dream from. That's where you get your Kerry Hilsons from, right? There are rappers that are known for this. Like Jay-Z was ghostwriting back in the day. Drake was ghostwriting back in the day, right? Like these cats was ghostwriting for other artists. Recently Snoop Dogg did an interview where he talked about that period in Jay-Z's life where Jay-Z was writing for the Chronic, writing Dre's verses for the Chronic, right?
Oh.
So like that's another backdoor way in. And I know a lot of rappers that have gotten pulled, like gotten an audience because they ghostwrite. Like I was, right there with Quentin Miller throughout his whole process of growing back when he was called Miller when he first got signed. And I was there for all of that. And he's the guy that was ghostwriting for Jay-Z, who ended up having the whole beef with Meek Mill and fighting in the streets. And, I knew this dude, he's a homeschool dude. I knew him when his parents dropped him off at the studio for the first time. Like, so like, I've seen that path. Like I remember when he got invited to go to New York and write for Diddy, and no one knew who the fuck he was, right? So there's a pathway there. So that's another pathway. Those would be the most common pathways. I think the last pathway that I would say for a rapper would be the live show pathway, where you're just out there killing it on stages all over the places. Audiences are following you, and your live show is just so amazing. Maybe you have a live band, maybe you have just a crazy crowd. You crowd surf and do all sorts of crazy stuff, but people love you for your show more than they love you for your music. Right, that's also an option. Tory Lanez is known for having really dope shows, right? Jumping up on the rafters and hanging off of shit and swinging off of shit. Tory Lanez is known for that. Travis Scott was known for having dope ass shows. Fabo from D4L still relevant today because he has dope ass shows. Waka Flocka still tours the whole world because he has dope ass shows, right? Tech Nine, obviously. So there's a lot of artists that can create viability just because they do great performances that make people say, "Yo, I've got to experience that again."
Okay, good stuff, man. I appreciate this.
Yeah, man. So those would be the methodologies. If I had to lay out the pathways, I would say pick one and work towards that, because there's a lot of there's just a lot of ways to do it. And if you're hopping around and your vision's all over the place and your goals all over the place, you're never really going to get anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Wow. That's good stuff, man.
No, that's the stuff, man. Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate you picking up and responding and all that, man. I know we haven't connected in a good minute. So we probably got to link up outside of the podcast environment just to chat it up and whatnot. But this is a good convo for the people to hear. So I appreciate you again for reaching out. And I know you haven't checked it out yet, but you got to check us out. Go to type in Phase PhaseVI. Just Google it. Just Google Phase VI and look at all the stuff we have on YouTube. Look at the website. Look at all the content. Pass it on to your artists. Give them the opportunity to learn the game and get this type of information firsthand. It'll make them better artists for it, man. But I appreciate you for responding today, man.
And I appreciate you for all this information, man. You're doing great things, bro. Keep up the good work.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate it, man. Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, you too, bro.
All right, one. Boom. That was dope. That was dope. You know how, as I'm going through this, I think the beauty of this process is that you meet so many people in the game. I'm not even just in the game, just in life. When you say that you're in music and you do music, and then someone's like, oh, you got to talk to so-and-so, you got to talk to so-and-so. This is my, family, this is my cousin, this is my that. And I met Kenny at my mother-in-law's wedding, and we got to chatting about music, and it was just a dope vibe. It was just real natural. Like, he had an artist and what he was doing, and he's doing different things, and we spent a good minute just talking about the industry and how it works and navigating Chicago and whatnot. And so it was dope to catch up to him. Like, I really don't think we've spoken since that day, which is a common thing in the music industry, man. We talk to people, we meet people all the time. We say, yeah, man, I'm gonna hit you up. I'm gonna get at you. But like in the music industry, you don't. You don't. There's so much going on. We always only call the people that we need. And I think that was dope to take a time to have a conversation with someone that I probably should have followed up with a long time ago. Good vibes. Good vibes. We're starting to show off with a good vibe. I like that. Wasn't what I was expecting, but everything that we needed to have a dope conversation. I appreciate you, Kenny. Let's do this. This is an artist. This is someone else that I know. Let's keep the vibe going. People that I actually know. This is an independent artist that was working the scene back when I was managing an act that I had, and she was just out there working the scene, putting together her own tours, going on the road, doing video. She had a question. I'm about to reach out and see if we can answer this question. Here we go. Let's make this call right here. I think this is dope. Here we go.
Hey, it's Jamie. Sorry I missed your call, but if you could leave a voicemail or text me.
Boom. We missed it. Let me send the message because she had a question. I'm going to answer the question. Tried to call. Hit me back. All right. So the artist asked this question. Sup, dude? Do you think this is the time artists should focus on digital content or booking events to prepare for when the world opens, right? Obviously, we're dealing with COVID right now. Hopefully, we get this video and this episode out before COVID just disappears. It's not an issue anymore. But that has been a challenge. Artists have been dealing with the COVID pandemic and the COVID issue, and it has been very difficult. So I want to spend some time to talk about what should you be doing as an artist during the pandemic. During the pandemic, this is the perfect time for you as an individual to be working on your digital content and mastering your digital content. At the beginning of the pandemic, what we saw was that even the best artists in the game were struggling to get high quality content out there. Now they started to figure it out. The beauty at the beginning was you were, for the first time, on the same level with every artist in the industry. It didn't matter what your budget was, and you could compete. You can drop a video better than the best artist in the world because the best artist in the world was limited to the same resources that you had. Their house, a phone, friends to help, and their creative mind. So yes, I feel that this is the time for digital content. You have more people at home. You have less events. Things are more closed. I'm in Atlanta where they've opened up the city. And even here, stuff is still, people are still inside often, looking for more content, right? Bored, consuming more than they ever had before, getting introduced to more artists than they ever had before. So digital content should 100% be your focus. Now, in a market like Atlanta, you do have the opportunity to go out and do shows and play and make money. So in a market like Atlanta, I definitely agree that you should get out there and get back to shows because people want to see it, and people are bored, and you'll likely have more newcomers to your show than you would have in the past, meaning that you have the opportunity to build your audience. So my answer to you specifically on this question is, in the city of Atlanta, you should be doing both. Digital content and booking. And in any other city where the market is open, you should be doing both. But if your market is closed, this is the time to master your digital marketing strategy. You will become successful in your career by perfecting the things that you do not do well. You are not going to become successful by focusing on the things that you already do, right? That sounds crazy, and I think I would have a lot of people that would disagree with that statement. It's like, hey, if you did really good at one thing and all it takes is one thing, I agree with that. But that one thing takes multiple things in order to make it happen, right? If your one thing is I'm a comedian, I can tell really great jokes, that's great. But how are you going to get people to hear your jokes? How are you going to get out there? How are you going to, we know for comedians, it's a multi-year process, 10, 15-year process in the clubs, working your lines and working your skits and sketches and whatever, right? And your sets, right? But when it comes down to, an artist in the game, you have to perfect not just making the music, but distributing the music, not just distributing the music, but marketing the music, not just marketing the music, but licensing the music, not just licensing the music, but protecting the music, right? So all of this is attributed to the music's success. So during this time period, I challenge you to not only master digital content, but start to think about licensing. Start working that, to work on playlisting and distribution and promotion. I challenge you to work on that. This is the time period to perfect the skills that you are not already good at. This is also the time period to make some really dope-ass music because you're sitting in the house and you have the chance to do so. So for all those that are being affected by the pandemic right now, that is my advice for you. What should you be doing with your time? You should be maximizing the things that you are not great at, that are irrevocably tethered to your success in the things that you are great in, right? So let's keep the energy going. Let's see who we're going to call next. Let's keep the vibes vibing, right? Keep the vibes vibing. Here we go. So there was a guy by the name of Boss Jack who reached out and had an interesting question. Let's see if Boss still wants to have this conversation. Here we go. Let's call Boss in.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Boss? How you feeling?
Another day in the life, brother. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing just good, my guy. I appreciate you for reaching out. Not one time, but two times for the podcast experience, man. It's great to finally get you on, man.
Hey, man. Likewise, homie. Likewise. I'm just glad you hit me back, man.
No problem, man. I saw that you had two different questions, and I'm not sure where you want to go because one of them was about playlisting, and the other question was more about releasing and tastemakers and such. So,
The strategy.
So you want to go that direction?
No. Well, I figured the comparing the playlist push and submit hub may answer the other question.
May help you with your release strategy itself, which means that you've already decided that you want to go with playlisting, right?
Yeah, well, it's part of the strategy, not the entire strategy. That's a part of it.
Well, tell me your strategy, and how playlist push or submit hub kind of fits into that strategy.
Well, what I would do is get the music out there and let the audience tell me where to target my next marketing steps. For instance, on Spotify, cities and things like that, I use that data and apply that to my marketing strategy. And geo-targeting. Yeah.
Got it. And you want to use these platforms as platforms that pretty much connect you with, playlisters, curators, bloggers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Correct.
All right. So let's talk about it. So, are these entities that you're looking to connect yourself with, are they are they valid? Should you be looking to connect yourself with bloggers, labels, influencers, radio, YouTubers, playlisters? The
You said
answer
sure.
the answer to that is 100% yes, right? But when it comes to these types of platforms, there are pros and cons. Now, in my personal opinion, the best way to do it is to get your hands dirty and do it yourself, or hire someone that's going to get their hands dirty and do it themselves. Reaching out to playlisters is not a difficult task. You go online, it's just a time consuming task. It's work, right? You find
Right.
out what playlist you actually want to be on through research. After that, you go and find out their contact information again through research. Sometimes it's a Facebook page, sometimes it's email, sometimes it's an Instagram page. You reach out to them directly, tell them what you're trying to do, let them know about your records, your movement, what's happening, and why you want to be on their platform. They normally come back with a fee. Sometimes they might rock with your music and not even charge you, right? You build a relationship. Next time you drop another record, you can go back to the same person again. After a while, you end up with a Rolodex of playlisters that you have relationships with, that anytime you drop a record, you can just reach out and mass blast all of them because you've built an individual relationship with every last one of them. Now, this is like sales. If you've ever done sales, which I have done personally, you know that you may reach out to 1,000 people and you only get responses from 100. But all you need is that 100 to potentially change your career, and they can turn around and make the next 100 stand up after they see the first 100, because people follow, right? There are people that lead and those that follow. So my personal opinion, the best way to do it is yourself, because not only will it lead to immediate success in the moment, but it will also lead to long-term success, in the future. However, if you do not want to take that process, because once again, that process requires work, that process requires time. If you do not want to do the time, if you do not want to do the work or spend the time, then you're going to pay someone else for the work and time that they already put in. Now, is that a problem? No. Services are amazing things. Someone else put the time and the work in and has the experience, and they are now reselling that experience to you to make your situation easier. So is there anything wrong with these platforms? No. But me personally, if I'm, I would go about it myself just so that I can have the relationship. Now, if my budget is nice, then I may take more shots. So what are the things to consider with either of these platforms? Now, to be honest and transparent and say, I have not personally used either of these platforms. When I do playlistings, I'm kind of going, I work with independent playlisters, individuals who do what I just basically said. They have relationships with playlisters, all across whatever region, all across whatever genres, and they can make the phone call and kind of finagle the situation. It costs more money to do that, right? But that's how I personally do it. Now, in reference to these platforms, this would be the next level. Like, if you don't know the person that you can pay, 30 bands to work your project, then, or 100 bands, 150 bands, whatever it is you're trying to pay to work your project, then if you don't have that type of money to hire these people, then who are you going to work with? These organizations have made a company for you and have made it easy. So what is it that you need to know about the two? All right. From what I gathered, I reached out. I saw this question. I actually reached out to some of my playlist and friends, and I looked into it myself. And what I discovered is that the main differences between playlist push and playlist and Submit Hub, to me, right, is that one is more manual, right? One, you're searching for your own content and where you want to be and who you want to work with, and you have to reach out and build the relationships yourself. And the other one is more automated. Playlist push is more automated. You pay them the money, they automatically have an automation based system that is filtering your request to available curators. They have a limit of how many requests a curator can have. They have a limit to how many requests you can submit generally, like in reference to how many songs you can submit. It's more focused on the quality of the service, but it also, they're taking away the work and the thought process, right? You have no control. So they're they're more involved in what playlists based off genre and things of that nature you land on, and it's more algorithmic based in reference to how they're making these decisions. Whereas Submit Hub, it requires you to know your shit a little bit more, and for you to make decisions and use your credits properly in order to get the right placement, right? Those are the two differences. So the question becomes: do you want a automatic car or a manual car? Right? The automatic car is going to probably consume more gas. It's designed to break down to a certain point. You're not going to go as fast with the automatic car as you can go with the manual. The manual, you can shift gears at certain times. The timing is everything. You're going to win a race in a manual car if you know what you're doing versus automatic car. Problem with the manual cars, if you don't know what you're doing, you can fuck everything up, right? Automatic is what most of us drive. We just want something we can get in there and just drive. So for those individuals that do not want to work at all for this, playlist push sounds like an option. I don't have time to learn the game. I don't have time to work. I don't have time to do these things, but I need playlists. I'm going to focus my energy on going to get money so that I can build my playlist. It sounds like playlist push may be the place for you, right? There are way more details, but this was the nuts and bolts of it to me. After reviewing it and talking to people, this is the nuts and bolts. And whereas Submit Hub, again, is more itemized, is more focused. Now, the data, they're suggesting that the acceptance rate is higher, much higher on Playlist Push than it is on Submit Hub, right? Because they have an automated system. Submit Hub is pretty much, hey, the more money you submit, the more records you submit. It's more, it seems like a pay-to-play situation where Playlist Push, even though it's pay-to-play, it's curated in the process, so they're looking to optimize results. Playlist Push also has more relationships with more curators, which is also one of the reasons why they're able to have a higher placement rating, because they have more playlists that they can place you on. Now, the quality of the playlist, I can't measure. I don't know if Submit Hubs, it has less playlists, but they're higher quality, as in they have more followers, they have a more engaging audience, and all the other variables or not. But, acceptance rate in reference to does your record make the playlist is important.
They have a lower approval.
You said what?
They have a lower approval rate as well, so it's harder to get on that one.
Right. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but again, this is me. I'm gonna do it myself. That's just me, right? In this, I'm gonna do it myself, or I'm gonna hire someone that's a specialist to do it. Would I try these platforms? Yeah, they have a low buy-in rate. Playlist Push is asking for like $250 or something like that, $300, something like that, right? Submit Hub they're doing it record by record, so you can spend, less money to get your record service, but there's no guarantees, right? So it's to me, give them both a shot. See which one you see more success with, because every artist experience is going to be different. And that's another thing about trying to have a cookie cutter approach and trying to say, will this work for me? Well, it may work for you, but it may not work for your mans. It may work for your mans, but it may not work for you. Every environment is going to be different. So if you are going to be experimenting, then you need to do just that. You need to test. You need to do an A/B test. I would spend the money on one, see what it does, spend the money on the other. Now you could say, well, sir, how about you do that and let us all know in the community which one is better? Because the test that I do on whatever artist I do it on will not necessarily yield the same results as the next artist. I'd have to do that test for multiple genres and types. Let me do a male rock artist, a female rock artist. Well, is it indie or alternative? Or is it, let me do a male, all these factors come into play, in reference to, the success of this, because it comes down to the playlist. Does your record fit the playlist and the profile that the listeners of that playlist come to hear, right? That's what's going to showcase your success. Is the record a smash? Is it the record? Like, even outside of the playlist, is it the record? You got a record or not, right? The record could be whack, but you think it's dope, right? So even before you do major playlisting, you got to have other vehicles to test the record. It's one of the reasons why I think SoundCloud is dope. In the past, I used to really hate on SoundCloud, but SoundCloud has a lot of advantages, right? you can definitely test the record in a SoundCloud market or in a YouTube market or in a play in the Spotify, whatever, Tidal, Deezer, Apple Music market. See what record is already gassed and whatever record already has legs on it, and put the gas behind the record that has legs on it. Make sure that you're choosing a record that's hot. Right? So there's a lot of factors. Because there's a lot of factors, it goes back to what I said at first. If you're a person with a low budget, you need to get those relationships yourself so that you can save money. You can go direct. Now, when you do it this way, you will get the playlist that you want, but it actually will cost you more money. Because playlisters now asking for $350, $450, $500 a band, right? There was a time where playlisters were like, "Oh, give me $60," and some playlisters are still saying that. Right, give me $60 because they know they can get 100 people to give them $60, and boom, they just made 6 bands. Right, so that still exists, right? And you picking the right playlist is important. But for me, for something that is so pivotal and so important, I would want to be on top of this shit. I put it like this: when I was working with this group, One Chance. They had this record, One Chance, and I love these dudes. 4 dudes from Chicago. They got signed by Usher, and it completely changed their life, the opportunity of a lifetime. This is when Usher is, coming off of Confessions or like going into Confessions. That time frame, biggest artist in the world, and they got the opportunity to sign to this guy, and he does a couple cuts on them. They have, does some videos, things of that nature. I'm highly involved in this process. Their first hit single that actually became a success was called "Look at Her," had Fable on it. Usher had the Hummer sponsorship, so they had the Hummers all throughout the video. I remember that because some of the sounds in that track I had submitted to the producers. I had introduced the producer that made that beat to Fruity Loops. At that time period, Fruity Loops was not even hot. Fruity Loops was a joke. Everybody was on MPCs still. And I had to explain that it's a 16-bit sampler and that you can do the same thing because MPC is a 16-bit sampler, and teach this producer how to use the software. And one of the early beats on the software that was done, collaboration of Chocolate Star and Sounds, was "Look at Her," and it ended up being their single, and Usher was on the record, right? So this is the group One Chance, and I'm gonna tell you why this adds up. So One Chance is doing their thing. Usher, does his thing. Here I Stand happens. A lot of stuff happens around that time period with his. We got married and fans and also a lot of bullshit happened. Whatever. During that time frame, the group One Chance did a song called "Love in This Club." And the song went, "I wanna make love in this club, in this club, in this club." Shit was a fucking smash.
Remember that.
Right? The group One Chance made this song, right? Well, shit, Usher comes in the studio. They're signed to Usher. Usher hears the record. He's like, "Yo, that's a smash. That's a fucking record," right? And Usher cuts the record. He decides to cut the record. He's working on his project. He cuts the record. And then next thing you know, on the radio, you hear this song. "I wanna make love in this club, and it's Usher, right? Usher, when he worked that record, right, and he was trying to get the record popping in the clubs. It's a club record, and mind you, Usher ain't been in the clubs in a minute, right? You think about the album before that, this is on Here I Stand. There's no other club records on there. You got Confessions. Ain't had no club records on there. If you go back to 8701, ain't really had no real club. He had one record, the Pharrell record, but it wasn't really a club record, right? So this is Usher's coming back to the club. This is important. Usher himself is walking in the strip clubs like, "Yo, DJ, I need you to play this." Superstar Usher is in the club himself, coming to the DJ saying, "Yo, this is my new single." So whenever you think about, the most important part of your process, which is how you connect the music to the fans, Which for him, I'm in the clubs. I'm going to the dopest clubs in Atlanta. Then I'm going to go to some of the dopest clubs in some of the top cities around the country, and I'm going to hand deliver my single. That's a marketing play. Because that DJ is like, yo, Usher came in here, shook my hand, told me, yo, I gotta play this shit.
Personally.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about what you getting ready to do and the impact, if this motherfucker, this major, super global, international success can individually take his time and make sure that every relationship with every person that's getting ready to distribute his record is solidified, why can't you? And that's my feedback. That's how I look at it. So, take it how you want it. But a lot of times we think that people at the top just have this velvet rope. No, these motherfuckers hustle. They come from the bottom. They never forget. And they know how to hustle. They know how to work it. So take that with you, man. Huh?
Quick question of the data, because I ran it once with one of them, and they give me the curator's information. So I could use that data to check out their platform and then hit them up directly.
I 100% agree. Submit Hub is more designed that way. Yeah. So for that purpose, if I had to choose one, I would go with Submit Hub because I want to reach out to them individually. It'll probably save me research time. Right? Right. But then there's also probably playlists that I want to be a part of that are not in Submit Hub's, database or, service group or agreement group. So, it's to each his own, but you got to figure out what strategy works for you best. It's still the wild west when it comes to playlisting. It hasn't hit saturation yet. I think we probably have another 5 years of this before something new comes out and changes how we do business again. Because before playlisting, we were looking at live mixtapes and Dat Piff, right? Right. And now they're not even relevant. You don't even think about them when it comes to your marketing play. So at some point, this playlisting shit's going to fall off too, or they're going to have to evolve to stay relevant. And so a part of that process before it becomes irrelevant is when saturation occurs. At the point where there's saturation, the audience can no longer discern what's good from bad, what's new and what's hot and innovative from what's old and stale and blah, blah, blah. So if those platforms do a great job of keeping tabs on those concepts, they'll be able to, elongate their relevancy. But if they're unable to successfully do those things, then some other platform will come up that's more relevant, right? Like TikTok is already becoming a better place to break your record. Right? Because someone else has made another innovative, iterative method for being new, hot, fresh, and fun that Spotify cannot emulate, right? Live mixtapes and Dat Piff could not emulate Spotify and Tidal. They couldn't, right? They were doing, all their records weren't even official. Like they were getting free music and releasing it to the public outside of the record label's purview because the record labels were dealing with the illegal download, the legal download fight, and they were only making money in iTunes. And so people like live mixtapes, you'd have like Fabulous drop a whole album on there and say, yo, this is free. So my label can't get mad because I'm not making no money off of it, but I need to stay relevant because I need to tour. Right? So, that allowed that era to do it. But the moment that playlisting came in and said, well, we're going to make sure everyone gets paid, now all of a sudden there's no need to go to live mixtapes and Dat Piff anymore for your platforms because there's a way to get my music out there and get paid again. So they die, right? It's about relevancy and revenue. Well, TikTok is now giving you relevancy and revenue in a more interactive way than playlisting, right? So what disrupts the market is some shit that you can never foresee. Because I could have easily said, yeah, this shit might only last 5 years. And a bunch of people could have raised their hand and said, no, you're fucking crazy. This is the future. This is how we're gonna make money forever. And I say you're fucking lying because there's been no platform that's lasted forever. No medium, no methodology in music that's lasted forever. We're already watching this shit disappear before our eyes with TikTok. And Instagram has already followed. And how many other iterations before they perfect this model? And next thing you know, playlisting is not how we discover new content. The purpose could change. When I first got on Instagram, was it Instagram? It was Snapchat. My boy hit me up and he said, yo, man, you should get a Snapchat. I said, why should I get a Snapchat? His marketing pitch for me, not market, just his pitch for me is friend to friend and why I should get Snapchat. He said, man, you can look at real people's real life and see how they live on the other side of the world in real time. Like, that's cool. That was the pitch. The pitch was like, what? I can follow someone in China and see just what they do randomly throughout the day? It's like, yeah, man. That shit. I'm like, fuck, that's crazy. We never could do that before. I never could just see how people live in real, like, throughout the day in snaps, right? Now snaps are comedic dances and music and and flexing with money, and it's a it's this other shit. But what makes something take off is this unique concept, and then it evolves. And so right now TikTok is this place where you play music and you dance and you tell jokes and you do funny weird shit and you collaborate with people. But 5 years from now, who knows what it's going to be. So for you, going back to what we were saying, because I'm drifting, man, right now, for you, I would just say, build those relationships. That's it. That's all. That's how I'm gonna end that, man. Build those relationships, my guy.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Dope conversation, man. Make sure you stay tuned. Tell everyone you know about it too, man. Let everyone know. If they want to get on the show, it's 404-442-4792. They can send me a text message just like you did. They can end up on the show as well, and they can check out the website. We provide all sorts of content to help people like you win, to help people like you succeed. And I'm glad that people like you are supporting us and allowing us to support you. So thank you again for being persistent and sending messages and being a part of the show, my guy.
For sure, man. Appreciate it. You stay safe out there.
All right, you too, man. Take care.
Later.
Boom. There goes another one. Another vibe, another good vibe session. We got a good thing going today. We definitely got a good thing going today. I think these conversations are really relevant, and they're really adding value to the audience. And I hope that you guys are really taken to this and getting what you need out of the show and out of the content that we're creating. Because again, we're doing it for you. We do this for you, and I'm so glad to be a part of it and to be doing it. All right, here we go. Let's reach out to Mike. Michael King had a dope question. It was long. It was a paragraph long. It was an interesting question. He had been talking about how he's coming out of Nashville, and he has friends that are hit artists and writers because they were able, to get in the game and find, a commercial country sound. And I just kind of want to hear what Michael King is talking about and see if there's a way we can add value, because there are a lot of things that he wants to talk about in reference to, restrictions. He brought up references to Lenny Kravitz. He wanted to know if certain things were good ideas or bad. It was a whole thing. I'm not going to read it all, but I'm going to call him right now so we can talk about it. Here we go. Mike.
Hello. Yeah.
What's going on, my guy? How you feeling?
Not much. Just killing the end of the night.
I dig it, man. It is the end of the night, man. I appreciate you being up to take the call. I know you ended up being the last call of the whole session. I know I sent the messages out saying we end at 11:30. Here we are at 11:35. We went over a little bit. But I want to open up by saying I appreciate you for supporting the channel and watching our videos and consuming our content, and allowing us to be a guiding, figure in your career and your decision-making process, or just having any type of involvement. I think that's dope. But I saw your message, and it was you had a lot of thoughts there. It was a lot to take in. So I kind of want to get from you. We probably have 10 to 12 minutes or so. There was a lot to address. So how do you want to best spend the time? Is there one particular question you want to speak to? Is there a scenario you just like to brainstorm about? How do you want to approach it?
Well, I'd say right now, I've geographically, I know I live between Memphis and Nashville, and Nashville is more of the place that I put my focus on, with management and with friends from my hometown that have had success writing and co-writing hit country songs. And I'm like the guy that's just, my manager would put me in the commercial country music situations, and I would play around the Southeast, but it just really, nothing would ever stick. The way I do my music is a certain way, and although people that know my music know that I'm, they would call me prolific. I write a lot, and I write. My goal was always, from the time I started writing music, to write the best music that I could, write to allow it to happen, and to write music that's with the goal of finding something eventually that's undeniable, put in front of somebody and them not be able to deny it. But the thing, I guess the question that arise now is the way the music industry is ever changing, and, Spotify is changing recently to where, if you invest money, you can basically get your song out there more. Well, granted, it's if it's not good, it's not. I don't really understand how it all works yet, but basically, it seems like if you've got money to spend, and maybe it's always been this way, the more money you've got to spend, the chances you could do a whole lot more. I know I could do a whole lot more, and just trying. The creative process can be a full-time job in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you've got all of this as an independent artist, all of this stuff that you're trying to build up, you're trying to put out quality videos for your potential fans to get to know you, and also to get to like your music. You want to make sure that everything you put out on social media is quality, good stuff. And that's one of the easier parts, I feel. Not to sound cocky, but I feel like that'll be something fun and doable. But it's all the other stuff that's just like how you've got so many aspects of the way to do the business and find some success that's online through social media, through all these streaming music platforms. It just seems like you need a whole crew. You need employees. You need help. So that's my question. I guess that would be an okay question, because that's kind of where I'm at now. We're playing live and just kind of started back at point A. Using the same band name, just kind of shorten it to 3 letters, and end up, playing live. But my thing is, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it right. I don't want to waste time on anything that's, I've got a good work ethic. I just want to know that what I'm doing are the right things, that I do have the right tools. If I don't have the right tools, figure out what I need to do with this DIY kind of system I've got going. I'm sure there are a lot of people that are like that, maybe not even, maybe just enjoying playing, and like I did I just enjoyed making music for so long. It's just, I loved it. There's certain songs I've written. I was telling someone yesterday, it's like, I like that song. That's if it wasn't me, I would like this song. So I just love it. I love when I find something that I create that I know that I can enjoy from the other side. But now, and I have beat on, the doors in Nashville. I have carried my case around down Music Row, and I've made the phone calls. But now it seems the work, it's like, okay, you're not getting any younger. You've spent a lot of time
being
having
creative,
fun, trying to,
and not enough time doing business.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly.
Let's talk about this. Let me jump in here.
Okay.
First, let me say my heart goes out to you for your passion right? I love it when I hear someone
Thank
speak as passionately as I'm hearing you talk about your craft and what you love to do, and how, you know, the impact it has on you. I mean, even saying, hey, not to be cocky, but I create the creative part of creating content is easy for you because you truly are passionate about what you love. And it's those type of artists like you that have that type of mindset. Granted, the music is good, you know, could really do some amazing things in the space. So let's talk about why these amazing things are not necessarily happening the way that you want them to happen, and what changes you can make to expedite that, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, I had this conversation top of this session, where we really dived into the various different ways you can make it in the business. And I'll say them quickly. I don't want to go too long on it because in the same episode that you're on, you'll be able to hear that version, right? But in short,
Okay.
when you're trying to break into the game, there's a couple ways to do it that are common, right? Way number one is what you just said, walking up and down Music Row and, you know, Musicians Row, whatever, and really looking to get a deal, right? And that's something unique to Nashville. You can't do that everywhere. Even though all the labels are in the same place in New York and LA and stuff, you can't even really do that. But you know, that's shopping. That's called shopping. And typically when you shop, you want to have a representative shop you. You want someone that has connections in all those buildings to be presenting you so that you have the right footing and the right audience. You may have done that. And if you did do it that way and you didn't get the responses you wanted, it's because they, you know, for whatever reason, they didn't bite on it. The sales pitch wasn't there. The whole marketing, something was missing that didn't make people buy it. Right, Musicians Row is actually really more of a publishing warehouse than it is a label warehouse anyway, right? So you get more opportunities to write records for other people and generate wealth for yourself through that methodology, and hopefully generate opportunities, turn those writing opportunities into truly, you know, artist opportunities, which it kind of sounds like is your path, right? Based off of what you said about music and writing and songs and whatever. Then you also have the other path, which you also spoke to, which was making yourself a viable artist, right? You're going out there doing your own marketing, doing your own promotions, this, that, and the third. And that methodology does require a crew. You're not crazy. It does require a crew. What you're basically saying is, I am going to be a business all to myself. I'm going to be more than a creative. I am not going to be the chef in the restaurant. I am going to own the restaurant and be the chef. That is what artists say when they want to be independent, right? And that's one of the reasons why even on my channel, I'm one of those people that don't bash labels. I think labels serve a very amazing and important part, an important role to the ecosystem of the business. And, you know, maybe the major labels have gotten off base. Maybe it's time for smaller independent labels to come up and close the gap as it used to be before they were all purchased, right? But you know, there is a place for a person that says, I want to own a restaurant and serve the best food, but I don't know how to cook, right? There's a place for that. And you basically are the cook. You make the most amazing food on the block, but you're sitting here saying, damn, I don't know anything about a liquor license. I don't know how to manage employees. I don't all the margins and where to order the food from and all. It's a lot going on. Damn, it's a lot of work. And I agree. If you want to be an independent artist, you need either a team, and I talk about that on YouTube on the videos. I talk about how to build your team, which starts with the creative. You first, there's videos on my channel that tell you step by step really how to build your team of influence, and it starts at one level, it gives you buy-in for the next, it gives you buy-in for the next, it gives you buy-in for the next, and you can definitely do that to build your team. Definitely go watch the videos that I have about team building on the channel. All right, they're older videos at this point, but the information is still gold. It's solid. It's evergreen. But in reference to, you know, if you don't want to take that path, then there's other options, right? The other option outside of working your record and trying to get signed and then working yourself would be you signed to another independent. Instead of going to the majors, look for a local label that is investing money in their artist that is willing to invest in you. Instead of trying to go straight to the top, recognize that some of these smaller companies could be the companies that really put you in a position to go to the top. right? Because you're not obviously doing the business stuff. That there's a business that is one step away from being successful if they just had you. There's a restaurant that could be the most popular restaurant in town. They manage it right. The restaurant is amazing. The layout is amazing. They take good care of all the employees there, but the food is horrible. And if only they had you, they'd be the top restaurant in the area, right? There are a lot of organizations like that will fit you hand in glove, and it may be worth it for you to sign with a smaller organization, and that decision may be the difference between them, signing themselves to a major deal, and now you end up being with a major anyway, right? And now you have a major label funding it, because major labels just want to fund smaller chains, right? They basically, right? That's what they want to do. The major label doesn't want to do the work. They want to fund a group of people that know how to do the work and recoup off of it. And hopefully not just recoup, but get revenues in ROI, right? So that's the next option. And then the next option after that, of course, is pursuing publishing and just coming in as a writer through the back door. And then you also have just being a great performer, going out there and doing amazing shows, all right? Now, I said all this. Go ahead. All right.
Yeah. I think that's great. As a writer in Nashville, I respect guys like Bruce Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
He's had some hits with, the song Wrapped, George Strait, which that's as country as it can get, but it's a great song, and that's what, my peer Jonathan Singleton is doing. He's written a lot of stuff, major artists to cut. So that's, there's an avenue for me. It's not that I can't write commercial country. It's just that's not my first thing that I do. And one thing Jonathan told me is like, man, a few years back, Michael, you've written pop type music, and I write alternative kind of rock as well. But he said you write pop music very well. That's where country's going. I think at one point, like you mentioned before, I did have. I want to put crew in quotation marks because I did have a manager that was, I think his intentions were good. But we got with the producer that, I don't know, when the demo was all done, he took the demo to Barbara Orbison, who owns a publishing company in Nashville, which is Roy Orbison's widow. And basically what came back to me is Barbara just kind of, gave this producer, I won't name him, but gave him like the shame on you. And I remember being in the studio with Vince Gill's drummer who was on the session, and Billy Thomas telling me, Michael, what you're saying makes sense. Tell him. And I would tell him, but the producer would say, the natives have taken over. Basically saying the artist is trying to tell me what to do on my job here. So there have been some opportunities, but I did a few years back invest in Logic Pro X. I'm not great at it right now, but if you look on the internet on the it's like Spotify or Amazon Music, you'll find which I know is probably a no-no, but you'll find some demos if you look up Michael L. King. And I like I said, I know that's a no-no putting demos up, but I did it. It's done. But I'm just
I don't even think that's a no-no in today's market anymore. I don't think that's a no-no in today's market anymore. No, that's the thing of the past. I remember when that was. You was always worried about getting your records stolen and things of that nature, and people taking your content. But at this point, just do your due diligence with your paperwork, with your publishing, and registering your copyrights and all other type of stuff, and you're fine. There's so much content out there right now. Everyone has their content out there, right? So it's not
everybody.
It's not the same as it was before, where you put yours out there, you're this lone wolf, and everyone's kind of preying on you. There's stuff all over the place. But what I would tell you is this: everything that I'm hearing from you says that I'm a writer, right? And country artists, most of them write. A lot of country artists write their own stuff. A lot of country artists, they of course collaborate, but country is an environment where writing is still valued, and it's starting to shift. Obviously, as pop is coming into the space. It's not coming, it's came, it's there, it's here, right? It's not just pop, it's hip hop, because hip hop has become pop. It's all this stuff. Country is changing dramatically.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly, it is.
what I would say to you is that you need to be in an environment where you're just banging away records. And honestly, I feel that writing is your passion more than being an artist based off the conversation. And I have a video on my channel that says, are you a songwriter or are you an artist? And I think you should watch that video as well to see which one are you, because the artist path is much harder for you, someone like you. And if you're a songwriter, just be a songwriter and just key in on that. Like, you need to focus, right, on what's important to you right now. So it sounds to me like you spent a lot of time in your career all over the place, just doing what you love to do and being happy, but there was no path to success, right, that you was putting in place. You were just hoping that your talent would miraculously inspire someone, which used to happen. 90s, 2000s, that was a thing. By 2010, that was no longer a thing, right? So now, we have got to we have to be intentional about what we do. So if you want to be a writer, I feel that you should spend your time, in my personal opinion, based off what I'm hearing, that you should accept that you're a songwriter. And if you don't want to accept that, you should really commit to being an artist. But I'm going to go with the songwriter pathway because that's what I'm hearing right now. The commit artist is a different conversation. The songwriter pathway tells me that what you need to be doing, is you need to be building relationships with all the producers in the area. You should be everyone's best friend. You should pop up with just beers. Just like, hey, I just stopped by to get y'all beers, man. I just want, hang out for a little bit. If they smoke with them, fucking leave. Like, you got to build relationships with everyone. You want to get to the point where they invite you to whatever the fuck you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've definitely hung out in the country, hanging out with friends who want to go cow tipping and shit. I'm not for it personally, but it was fun to watch people do the shit. So, going mudding and fishing, whatever, because the country is a different culture. It's a different vibe. You have fun in the wild, you hunt and you fuck, so it's a different vibe, right? So whatever you're doing with people, you want to be invited to those events as well as come to the studio, come to the show. That's the type of relationship you want to start building with producers and other writers. You want other writers to want you to be there. You want other producers to want you to be there, right? That's number one, from a networking perspective. Number two, you want to make sure you're always ready to come in and add value, because producers always need writers, because artists always need ideas and suggestions and shit, and they can sell their music a lot more effectively if there's a reference on top of the record, right? So you can start as just being the reference guy, or a person that comes in and does other people's references, being humble enough to sing other people's references so that they can sell their records, to help build the relationship. So this is all bottom level hustle type stuff that you should be doing. In the midst of that, I do agree that you should have your own setup at the house. I've worked with major producers, multi-platinum producers. There are two in particular that I can think of that are doing multi-platinum records still right now. Both of them told me that they don't work with an artist that can't record themselves. Right?
Oh, wow.
So I would tell you to go record. You should learn to record yourself. That is the greatest way that you can get your own expression, your own ideas out. Plus, you're a writer. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're building references, right? You're doing reference tracks all the time. So, get it to the point where it sounds decent enough to take it to a producer. They'll throw a couple effects on there and when you're done with it, and they can sell the record. Next is you need to be partnering with multiple producers, because again, producers are more business oriented than artists, and they're more business oriented than writers. They're actively shopping their music and getting deals, and people in the business respect producers more because you have to see the producers for paperwork reasons and all sorts of business legal crap. So they're going to be the gateway to your success, right? And then, of course, there could be some artist that falls in love with your story and your style and says, I would like your style to be my next album. But you're probably not going to meet this artist unless you're working with some producer that's playing your records to this artist. So for me, this is, and your catalog needs to be crazy. Your catalogs of songs that you've written should be crazy. You should be able to say, hey, this is a record that I can see on Jameson Rogers. This is a record that I can see on Randall King. This is a record I can see on Lori McKenna. You need a catalog of records that you're like, yo, these records, could go for these types of artists, and you should be able to show the diversity in your pen. I had the pleasure of going to T-Pain's house back when I worked with Nappy Boy Records, and we all know T-Pain is the guy that's in love with the girls in the club and strippers, and he always in love with the wrong person. And more recently he's writing, right? He's writing Post Malone's records and doing all sorts of stuff, right?
Oh wow.
But like T-Pain is very relevant right now as a writer. But
Hmm.
I knew he had that talent the first time I went to a studio. This man, I walk into the studio, and he's just like, "Yo, man, I just got a vibe, man. I just want y'all to check this out." And I'm like, "Oh, dope! I get to hear the T-Pain unreleased shit." So, I'm thinking T-Pain is getting ready to play me some more. Girl, I'm in the club, boom, and I want to get some dub, boom, and I want to. I'm thinking he's going to be on some shit like that. That was that time period.
Yeah.
Man, this man was playing like operatic music. He was playing country music. He was playing time period like 40s, like music that sounded like it should be in a fucking 40s movie. He was playing EDM. He was playing, and it was all him.
Oh my God.
And I'm in the fucking studio like, yo, this dude, and it was all dumb. Like, this dude's a fucking genius. I didn't know you was a fucking genius. Like, that's how I felt. That's how I felt. Like, completely blown away. He's like, yo, so this is what I'm thinking for this. And this is what I'm thinking. And like, when I saw the breadth and the bandwidth of his talent, I was blown away. And you recognize that the public never heard any of that diversity. And that's because as an artist, like people like ketchup. Like, ketchup is ketchup. Like, when ketchup tried to make ketchup purple, we were all like, what the fuck are y'all doing? I like my ketchup red. Remember that? It tried to make ketchup purple and green and shit. We were all like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Right? I like my ketchup red. Like, we don't like it when the things that we love try to diversify and do new shit. Right? So you end up in a box.
Right.
Right? And if you're a writer, you want to express yourself in any way that you can. I'm pretty sure T-Pain is happier now than he was before. Right? And I got to see him before. He probably is way happier now than he was before. So, I think that is what I'm hearing from you, because it doesn't take long for me to point it out. Like, oh, you're a songwriter. You think you're an artist, but you're a songwriter. Oh, you're an artist that thinks you're a songwriter. I see that too. Right? So, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Take some time. I mean, we've gone for a minute on this call, but I think it was valuable because I think there are a lot of other people that are in your situation that have basically been trying a million and one things, and they haven't figured out who they are. And that often happens in songwriter, singer scenarios because it's so hard to pick one. But I believe that if you pick one, you'll see success in the other. Neo was in a singing group. He decided to focus on writing. He wrote a bunch of records. The label was like, we need you. You write great records. We don't want you to leave. What does it take to keep you here? Well, I want an artist deal. Great, we'll give you an artist deal. Just don't go. Next thing you know, he's Neo the Superstar.
Yeah.
Right? Dream. Same story for Dream. Carrie Hilson. Right? R. Kelly was writing for people before he came on. R. Kelly is one of the best writers in history, even though we know he did some fucked up shit. But you know what I'm saying? Like, so it doesn't prevent you from being who you want to be. But that's what I'm hearing for you. And I hope this feedback didn't rub you the wrong way and make you feel like I'm insulting your artistry. And I hope that you could take this and really consider some of the things that I gave you. But yeah, man, the
networking thing you said, the networking thing, that's one thing my former manager, he still tells me, he's like, I know it's COVID right now, but when it's not COVID, get out there and you network, and that's where I could do what you're saying, is like, meet people, meet producers, meet artists, songwriters. And I've always for years had this feeling, because I'm a realist. I tend to be a realist. I've always thought if the only scenario that really makes sense to me entering success from a point of non-success is being somewhere, playing somewhere, possibly, and just meeting somebody, like, because I usually meet somebody after I play a show, and they're like, it might be one person that they enjoyed the show, but I've always had this idea that's the only way I really see it happening, is meeting somebody that's either impressed with conversation or impressed with a set that I just did.
Yeah, but it's always that
So,
way.
I really feel that about the networking.
It's not meeting the person, and this is where we've messed up. And I got to wrap because I know I got to go to the next. Well, I got to wrap the show because we've been on the show for a long time. You don't know that, but I've been on the show for a long time. But what I will say, is this: it's not meeting someone above you that's going to pull you up. It's meeting the person that's side by side with you that's going to help you figure out how to ride up to the top together. The friends and relationships that will help you the most are the people to your left and your right. And so many times people are looking up to someone else to help pull me up the ladder, help put me on, bring me in the game, help get me my success, get signed, get this, that, and the third. No, that's not how it works. The successful people that you want to see, if you're out here running around scrapping and making it work, there's a promoter that's running around scrapping and making it work, begging people like you to come to a show. That's who you want to work with. There's a producer that's running around scrapping, trying to get people just to write to their music. That's who you want to work with. You want to work with the people that are at the same level as you, that have the same drive as you and passion as you for what they do. Because that's the group of people that's going to come up. We all come up together in classes, right? Like I know, like, you know, I look at people that are successful and I go, I remember me and you were working together back when you first got out of college. I first got out of college. Neither one of us had shit. You was working at Disturbing the Peace. I was working over here with Infrared, you know, and which had me at where was we? We was at Red Zone at the time, right? So I'm like, I see that person's growth now, where they are in their career. I see someone else who is now a major manager for multiple producers working at QC. And I'm like, man, I remember when we was on the strip together working, right? Like, and these are the, like now I can call that person and say, yo, I know you with QC. I'm trying to bring someone over there to meet with QC, which is the record label that has, you know, Migos and Lil Baby, and, you know, they also manage Cardi B and blah, 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 right? So I could call. I can make that call, right? But I'm not making that call to Coach K. I'm making that call to the person that I know that we came up together. Because everyone ends up in a new space. My sister, who I still manage, she doesn't need my management anymore. So I taught her so much, she's good. But, you know, we came up together. I helped her come up, and we were coming up together. Now she is a sound engineer at Tyler Perry Studios. So if I am looking for a music placement and I want to get on a TV show, that's a phone call. She's gonna come over to see her nephew and nieces anyway, right? When I think about when I think about the connections that I have, it's not some major person it was people that I struggled with. There was people that I used to pass out flyers with that are executives at labels now. So when I call them, we're talking about, remember we used to pass out them fucking flyers outside the club? Right? So that's the relationship. It's not some bigger person that's going to carry you up and take you to the promised land. So take that with you too. Network with, but all these people were fucking passionate and wanted to win. There's a whole bunch of other people that were passing out flyers with us that aren't in that position, right? So just appreciate the small shit. And that was a lot of cursing. I hope we don't have to edit all this out, but I'm just being 100. I'm being real with you, man. I hope that was beneficial, man. Was that helpful for you going forward and thinking about how you want to navigate your career?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, what you said here in this 30 minutes is the best stuff I've heard in years. Honestly, that's great stuff. Great stuff, and I appreciate that.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for watching the channel. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for allowing us to be a support system and a vehicle for you. And remember, there's a whole lot of content that we put on the site for you to consume that will help you with these things, help you with getting booked, paid shows, help you with getting your paperwork right, help you with understanding management or how to manage yourself. So take advantage of the resources that are on there because it's all high quality stuff and it's all designed to help you win. But I appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in to Phase 6, my guy. Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, you too. Take care.
All right, take care. Boom. Good vibes. We are definitely over the time, but I wanted to have that whole conversation for a couple of reasons. One, it's not unfortunately, I don't have as many country artists that are reaching out. And so it was really exciting to talk to a country artist and to think about my own knowledge of country. I've had the opportunity to work with country artists and see the recording process for country music and how different it is from hip hop and pop culture and other areas that I'm involved in, and how to navigate that space. And I got to go to Musicians Row and or Publishers Row. They have all these names or whatever in Nashville, and it's just dope. It's a dope vibe, man. So much love to all of the country artists that are out there, working and looking to make themselves successful and achieve success in the game. Shout out to all the gospel artists that reach out on the platform as well as all the international artists. We have a lot of gospel and international artists that view the platform, and of course, a lot of people that are in the pop, hip hop, in R&B space. I've also had a few rockers reach out. So I wanted to have that conversation. I think that was a dope conversation. It was somewhat repetitive to other parts of today's call, but at the same time, I think it provided new context and a new way of looking at things. And it compiled a series of different topics that I've talked about throughout the curation of this platform. So hope it was super helpful. Again, if you want to be on the show, you got to reach out 404-442-4792 so that I can talk to you about whatever it is that you do or whatever it is that you're going through in hopes that you can be more successful too. So again, my name is Sirr Love, and I don't know everything, but I know a lot about a little and a little bit about a lot. And I'm always trying to give you guys, not even trying, I'm always actually giving you guys every single thing that I got as much as I can in the moment in time, even if the call goes over 30 minutes. I think it's worth it for you. I think you deserve the opportunity to hear that. So thank you very much again. And I hope you all enjoyed today's session. It's your boy, Sirr Love, and I am out.
Come on and face it. If you need some marketing motivation, you can learn to transform your life and build your own empire. With Sirr Love.
Real talk, no chase.
Yeah.
Real talk, no chase.
Yeah.
Real talk, no chase.
Yeah.
Real talk, I said real talk. I said real talk, no chase.
Yeah.
Real talk, no chase.
Yeah.
Real talk, no chase.
Yeah. With Sirr Love.